Hi everyone, welcome to Innovation China's Smart Healthcare Virtual Roadshow.
Is sponsored by China Association for Science and Technology. It is hosted by China Association for Science and Technology as well as Tianjin Science and Technology Association. This event is organized by China Communications Center for Science and Technology.
My name is Wang Guan from China Global Television Network, CGTN. As countries and their economies worldwide are struggling to recover from COVID-19, China Association for Science and Technology want to highlight the role of technology in a post-pandemic world. That's why we're here. Innovation China Roadshow is aimed at creating a platform for innovation, entrepreneurship, and nurturing a network of companies, innovators, investors, experts, and talents. To begin our event, I'd like to
Working Group Leader of the Innovation China Pilot City of Tianjin,
Mr. Chen to give the opening speech. Mr. Chen, welcome.
尊敬的各位来宾、女士们、先生们，大家好！很高兴参加第4届世界智能大会科创中国云路演活动。本场路演也是世界智能大会的系列活动之一。在此，请允许我代表科创中国试点城市天津工作组，向参与活动的各位嘉宾表示热烈的欢迎和诚挚的问候，向天津市科协、滨海新区对本次活动的大力支持表示衷心的感谢。习近平主席在给第3届世界智能大会的贺信中指出，由人工智能引领的新一轮科技变革和产业发展方兴未艾，在移动互联网、大数据、超级计算、传感网、脑科学等新技术驱动下，人工智能呈现深度学习、跨界融合、人机协同、群智开放、自主操控等新特征，正在对经济发展、社会进步、全球治理等方面产生重大而深远的影响。今天的云路演是智慧医疗专场。近年来，人工智能与医疗健康的融合不断加深，智慧医疗发展成效显著，在优化医疗资源配置、创新医疗设备、保障人民健康等方面发挥了积极作用。尤其是今年以来，面对百年不遇的全球突发新冠肺炎疫情，在以习近平主席为核心的坚强领导下，在全国上下通力合作下，统筹疫情防控和复工复产取得了重大阶段性成果。其中，智慧医疗类的应用发挥了重要作用。一批智慧医疗项目帮助相关部门实现了对疫情的早期预防、及时发现、快速反应和有效救治，可以说功不可没。未来，在疫情常态化防控之下，智慧医疗在降低病毒传播风险、巩固疫情防控成果等方面还将继续发挥重要作用。今天的智慧医疗云路演项目分别来自美国、英国、德国、意大利、以色列等多个国家。国际人才、科技和经济、社会间的无障碍交流融通，是人类文明进步的体现，可以为人类福祉和世界经济发展提供强劲动力和广阔空间。贸易保护与封锁必将阻碍人才流动与科技合作，不利于人才成长、科技发展和经济繁荣，不利于世界的可持续发展。我们期待并倡导科技无国界、科技无歧视，共商、共建、共享、合作、交流，让人工智能更高质量地惠及人类福祉，包容的文明才能更可持续。中国科协是中国重要的科技组织，拥有包括210个理工农医交叉类、学科齐全、高端智力密集、创新人才汇聚的全国一级学会，建立了跨部门、跨地区、跨行业横向联系的网络体系，联系着广大高校、科研院所和众多园区企业的科技人员。当前，中国科协正在组织实施2020服务科技经济融合发展行动，按照合作发展、开放协同的原则，打造科创中国服务品牌，开通科技经济融通品牌，帮助全国各个地方提升产业竞争力和技术创新力，拓展高质量发展的新空间。天津滨海新区是科创中国的首批试点城市。近年来，滨海新区积极构建并全力打造1+4+N 的新型智慧城市建设体系，在智慧医疗领域已开始超前布局，智慧医疗产业呈现出欣欣向荣的发展态势。智能新时代，创新、赋能、生态，正如本届大会主题所示， 期待大家在稍后的路演中充分发挥、展示智慧火花，砥砺创新思维，也期待各位优秀的智慧医疗项目提供者能够赋能实体产业，实现落地天津、落地滨海，形成智慧医疗良好生态，共创人工智能的美好未来。最后，预祝本次活动圆满成功，谢谢大家。
Indeed, Mr. Chen, thank you so much for your comments and your insight. Technology is very important for China and indeed the rest of the world in their post-pandemic economic recovery. Now, next up is Madame Chen Lizhu, member of the Party Committee and Vice President at Tianjin Science and Technology Association. Madame Chen, the floor is yours.
尊敬的各位专家、各位来宾、女士们、先生们，大家好！初夏时节，第4届世界智能大会在天津举行了。大会以“智能新时代、创新、赋能、生态”为主题，致力于打造会展赛加智能体验4位一体的国际化平台。在常态化疫情防控下，本届大会采取线上举办的形式，邀请来自世界智能科技领域最具影响力的学术权威、行业精英、国际机构、专业媒体等在线参与活动。本次科创中国云路演活动是大会的系列活动之一。在此，我仅代表天津市科协对承办本次活动的中国国际科技交流中心、中国科协科技传播中心等单位和工作人员表示诚挚的谢意，对出席活动的各位嘉宾、各位记者朋友表示热烈的欢迎，对长期以来支持和关注天津工作的朋友们表示衷心的感谢。天津是我国的直辖市和国家中心城市之一，中国北方最大的沿海开放城市。当前，天津正在围绕国家对我市全国先进制造研发基地、北方国际航运核心区、金融创新运营示范区、改革开放先行区的功能定位，全力引育新动能，蕴藏着无数创新创业的机遇。2018年，在第2届世界智能大会期间，我市与中国科协签署全面战略合作协议，开展全方位合作。中国科协组织实施2020年服务科技经济融合发展行动，我市被纳入首批试点省市，滨海新区被纳入首批试点城市。我市高度重视这项工作，积极争取中国科协创新资源落地，服务天津高质量发展，专门出台了天津市实施中国科协服务科技经济融合发展行动方案，主要包括7个方面的工作：一是组建科技服务团、科技服务队，开展科技志愿服务活动；二是建成中国科协创新资源共享平台天津滨海分中心；三是建强用好我市与中国科协、南开大学联合共建的数字经济研究中心；四是建设全国学会服务站、技术创新联合体等创新组织；五是举办100场先进适用技术培训和技术推广活动；六是建设天津滨海海外人才离岸创新创业基地，举办中欧生命科学论坛、海河英才国际创业大赛等活动；七是开展院士专家企业行、签名专家进基层等服务企业创新活动。本次云路演是海内外创客展示才华和市场前景的擂台，也是吸引高水平人才团队来京创业发展的舞台。我们期待通过本次活动，吸引一大批富有原创性、独创性、引领性的项目家团队在天津落地生根、发展壮大，成为天津高质量发展的重要力量。成功落地的项目将优先纳入我市项目家团队支持计划，享受创业担保、金融授信、子女就学、配偶就业、人才公寓、人才专员等一揽子政策保障。在这里， 我向参加云路演和项目征集的各路英才发出诚挚邀请，期盼着你们共享天津机遇，来津兴业发展。最后，预祝本次活动圆满成功，谢谢大家。
Thank you very much, Madam Chen. I like it when you said that this is also a stage for competition, because competition does bring the best out of each individual and each company. And now I would like to introduce the experts in the industry who will assess each and every project that will be presented today. They are Chang Yongheng, Executive Chairman of China International Medical Device Regulatory Forum, and former Deputy Director General of CCFDIE of CFDA. Liu Luo, Secretary General of Internationalization Committee of China Pharmaceutical Enterprises Association. Donald Tan, Managing Partner of Shanghai Creation Investment. Wu Haibo, Chairman of the Board at Giant Medipharm Services. Xin Xiaoxun, Vice Director, Research Center for Health Policy of Beijing Health Promotion Association. Li Xiaoqiang, Founder and Chairman of Your Health and Wellness International Medical Clinic, Senior Partner at New Margin Capital. And John Chen, Senior Director at Business and Strategic Development of Huahui Anking Biotechnology Corporation Limited. Welcome. At Innovation China Virtual Roadshow today, we focus on healthcare industry. To be honest, I cannot think of a sector or industry that's more relevant to our well-being today than healthcare, with a global pandemic affecting so many lives around the world. What's unique about the companies we're presenting today is the fact that nearly all of them are empowered by cutting-edge technologies such as artificial intelligence and big data. Now, first up is a company from Israel, Magnetic Eye. Magnetic Eye LTE is a medical device startup company specialized in endoscopy medical procedures. The company taps into artificial intelligence and big data to assist doctors in their diagnosis and also procedures. Their first product is an add-on diagnostic support system for the colonoscopy testing. Now, I would like to invite Dr. Dror Zur, CEO of Magnetic Eye, to introduce this company. Welcome, sir.
Magnetic Eye was founded in 2014 with the vision to prevent cancer and save lives by leading the field of endoscopic diagnostics and by the use of deep machine learning, which is our expertise, and computer vision. This to improve the early detection for prevention of cancer in general. We focused on colonoscopy, and this is colorectal cancer is the third most common cancer worldwide, and this is because there is a real unmet need with regard to the colonoscopy device, which is in many places in the world is the gold standard, for screening for colon cancer to prevent and to find polyps. And also in countries where it is not the gold standard as screening, yet after screening, always something was found with him or her had to go to a colonoscopy test. And the unmet need or the problem is that 30%, between 26 to 30% of the polyps are missed. And each miss can cause colon cancer because some of the polyps develops to colon cancer. And therefore, this is unmet and critical need. Okay, and this is exactly the reason why Magnetic Eye was founded. I was always saying at the beginning, I said to people, think about the people in the room where you are, your friends, the people you know, your beloved ones, and think how important it is if they go to colonoscopy to have the best test that we can. And this is exactly why Magnetic Eye was founded, in order to improve the detection and to reduce the miss rate. So here you can see just an example of the system as it is now. You can see there is a very flat polyp, very, very easy to miss. The system detected. This is the bounded box. It will appear again. You see here. So the system immediately detects it as it appears. Once again, you can see it's very similar to the background, very hard to detect. This is, by the way, this type of polyp is adenoma, a polyp which can very easily be missed, and because it is adenoma, it's the type which is dangerous, can cause colon cancer. And with the system, the physician won't miss this polyp. Now, this is from live movie when the system is in the colonoscopy procedure room with a patient in the room while he's going through colonoscopy. So this is our setup, and the system is now about to start the clinical trial in six centers, 2 in Israel, Hadassah Hospital and Asaf Harofeh Hospital in Israel, Columbia University Medical Center, Irving Medical Center, which is also known as New York Presbyterian Hospital in New York, Bet Israel at Harvard Medical School, and also at the Erlanger Health System at Chattanooga, Tennessee, and also additional one at the Netherlands, Radboud, Netherlands. And this is how the colonoscopy is taking place currently. Like there is the tower of the colonoscopy device, the scope is getting into the colon, the camera data is coming into the camera unit. This goes to the computer unit where it makes from the camera data a video, and the video is going to the screen. This is the same thing, but with Magentic Eye, APDS. APDS is Automatic Polyp Detection System, and an add-on. We just take the video that goes to the screen, also to our system. We have a video capture card, which grabs the frames of the video, break it into separate frames, and then we have a special computer with GPU, something very strong, which run our deep learning AI algorithm. It tests frame by frame, and if it detects a frame, because it was trained to do so, then it will sign it, as you see here, with a bounding box over the video, and the video is sent to our screen. This is a touch screen, very simple for the physician to operate with it, and when there is such a bounding box, the physician won't miss the polyp. And this is now beginning the clinical trial, as I told you. So next year, hopefully, beginning of next year, we'll be able to use it also independently after it is approved. The global market is huge because already now this market is rolling about $5 billion or trillion dollars worldwide. But this is a new market because currently there's no such system, AI system in the GI, in the gastroenterology or in the colonoscopy domain. So we here actually open a new market. And because there are 40 billion colonoscopy tests a year, 20 million in the USA, 10 million colonoscopy in Europe, and about additional 10 million in the rest of the world. I think in China, people talk about 5 million tests a year. So this is an additional huge market. And on top of saving lives, it's also, from financial point of view, it's a very interesting market. Because we assume that at the abstract level, we can, especially in the US, but also other places, we can charge a few dozens of dollars per test. And therefore, generally speaking, it is more than 1 billion market worldwide. And this market is growing rapidly because, you know, the test is usually for people over 50, and this population is getting larger from year to year, and also the awareness to the test is getting higher. So the number of the colonoscopy that increased. Just as an example, in the USA in 2012 there were about 15 million tests, and now they are talking about 20 million tests. This is an increase of 33% in the USA, just as an example. About patent of the company has two main patents. The first patent, it is about the use of the deep learning for colonoscopy. So it's not just limiting the deep learning from doing colonoscopy with deep learning, because this is hard to protect, but we are talking about the three phases which are very important. There is a pre-processing, and then a detection phase, and then a post-processing. And there are something which everyone who is doing deep learning for colonoscopy, for automatic polyp detection, has to do in the pre-processing, in the post-processing. And we identified this thing, put it in a patent, and this patent was already approved and issued in the USA, and it is with precedence from 2019. And last year it was approved and issued in the USA, and it's now waiting for examination. Actually, it is in examination in Europe, and it is waiting for examination in China. this patent. Since then, we already, in the USA, we filed a continuation patent, just changing the claims to make it even more protective. And then we have a second patent, which is about additional feature that we look at this system not only for polyp detection, but there will be additional features. It will be a GI suite for the gastroenterologist, like to calculate the polyp size, to classify the polyp type, and stuff like that. This is in the second patent of the company that was published, that was filed last year, and to the USA. And this year, this patent was also submitted as a PCT, which means that we will file it also to Europe and to China. This is the team. I am the CEO. As I tell you, my background is I have an expert. I have a PhD from the Weizmann Institute in computer vision and machine learning and artificial intelligence. Before I was 11 years in the IDF, in the Israeli Defense Force, in a top technological unit. And then I did the PhD. And then I've done postdoctorate at the Rockefeller University in the USA. It's quite a renowned place. And then I worked in several global companies, Johnson & Johnson, and then a startup that was purchased by St. Jude Medical, also cooperate in the medical device. And then I founded my company in Magentic Eye. So we have a CFO, we have two renowned gastroenterologists in the advisory board, and additional people are going to work with us, as I told you, in the clinical trial. This is the development team, and this is the clinical team, which is responsible to the connection with the hospital, collecting data, videos, procedure report, pathology report, and stuff like that. About the performance of the system. So lately we have a lot of data. We have more than 1,000 videos, which mean more than 1,000 cases, procedures, different patients, from which about 700 was used in order to train the system, the machine learning system, and about almost 282 we test the system on, and the result is that under precision of 96%, which means very low amount of false positive, about 98.9% of the polyp were detected. And these are very good results, and this is why we allow this system to start a real-time clinical trial. This was tested offline, like on recorded video that we collected from test. I'll talk about this slide very shortly. The main issue is that we don't think to sell it all over the world like we did all the development, and we think like to use a distribution network, that will be fit to the USA, to Europe, and to China. China is one of the three markets that we are looking on, like with USA and Europe, and with this we will approach to the hospital. We have done some pricing analysis, pricing sensitivity analysis. And we have found that in general, this is more for the USA, but in every country it's a little bit different. In USA, for example, on average, if it's a medical center that will use the APDS, will get reimbursement as an additional $74 per test, like comparing without doing with the APDS. And this is because more polyp will be found, and therefore they will get more reimbursement money. In other places, sometimes it's also save a lot of money for the health system because more polyps were found, less cancer, and there is a name for cancer that happens after colonoscopy test. It's called post-cancer or interval cancer, which means a cancer after the patient was tested, and it is directly related to missed polyps. And so, of course, finding more polyps reduce these type of cases, and therefore it save to the health system in each country the cost of treating the unfortunate cases of colon cancer. This is generally speaking like the potential revenues of the system as depending on the amount of percentage of penetration to each market, like USA, Europe, and the rest of the world. And you can see that when we reach, for example, 5%, these are already quite large numbers, these numbers. We have a few competitors. We were the first to begin with deep learning. We were founded in 2014 to use deep learning for this task of polyp detection. This is also the reason why we are the first to have a patent on that and why this patent was approved and issued. But also now Cosmo Pharmaceutical and also Vision AI are two companies that also now begins a clinical trial. But this is, as I told you, a new era. This is something new. There is no such a system in the market. So this is a new market, and definitely there is a place for more than one company. This is an image video about the company. It appears in the website, so everyone can look at the website, and it's a few minutes, so I won't take the time to look at this video, but just about the current situation. So we are funded for many years by the Israel Innovation Authority with the matching money. We were also funded by the European Commission, Horizon 2020. We're a company which is funded also by the European Commission. We are now starting the clinical trial to achieve FDA and CE mark, which we're supposed to get it at Q3 of 2021. The trial is about a year, probably a little bit less. And then, or in parallel, we would like also to approach with the partner in China also to get a CFDA. And so the commercialization shall start at the very end of 2021, and the main time for commercialization will be in 2022. This is less relevant. We also now looking for additional money, but we already get part of it. So I think this is the main thing. So if you have any additional questions, I will be very happy to answer.
Now, Chang Yongheng, Executive Chairman of China International Medical Device Regulatory Forum and former Deputy Director General of CCFDI at CFDA, I would like to invite you to give your thoughts on this company, please.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Well, you said you have 3 patents, right? Are these 3 patents all used on this APDS system?
Well, I said we have 2 different patents. The first patent, you're right, these are 3 because there is the original one, and then we also filed the continuation for it, which is usually counted as an additional patent, but it is the same description. We just change a little bit the claims, like what we want to protect. So 2 patents are related. The first and the third are related to each other. And this is really just focused on the detection of polyps with APDS. And as I said, the main thing is that we identify that, for example, in the pre-processing, someone has to do clipping to the image. In colonoscopy image, there is also a peripheral part, which is dark, black, and is irrelevant. So in order not to make mistake, you have to extract the center of the image where there is the data of the colonoscopy. And this should go through the AI system. So the patent is about doing that. And also in the post-processing, you have to do thresholding and some stuff in order to decide which outcome of the AI system really should present it to the physician.
Mm-hmm. Good. There are, I think, 2 parts of your system. One is the traditional endoscopic technology. This is a common technology. But speaking of AI point of view, so the special feature of your system is the computer reading and recognition of the image. Is this right?
Yes. The first part, what you call the classic part of the colonoscopy device itself, it is not part of our device. I mean, our device is an add-on, which we are just connecting it to an existing colonoscopy device, which can come, from Olympus, from Pentax, from Fujifilm, Karl Stotz, any other manufacturer from any country, and because they all have the same thing, the video which goes out of these devices to the screen is always in a standard video format. And this is all what we need. We take the video from the output, which goes to the screen. Usually they have an additional output. We use usually this. This is the input to our system. And we break this video back to frames, analyze the frames, and immediately present it on the screen. And actually with no delay, because we are doing it very fast. We have a very strong hardware. So we call that system an add-on. We don't manufacture or develop or sell the part which is deal with the colonoscopy itself. Just an add-on to analyze, as you have said, the image, the imaging part, and to add the information for the physician where there is a polyp. So this is a type of decision support system, I would say, what we are doing.
Yes, I understand. Well, for your system, what is most important is the reading accuracy. Accuracy is very important. And you said this system has a, let's say, automatic fast learning feature. So can it improve its function day by day? When it reads more and more images, it can improve the accuracy or precision. Is that right?
Yeah. Well, I would like to, this is a very good question. I really would like a few words about that because you touch a very important point. So yes, first of all, the system was already trained. More than 1,000 cases, we choose 300 to test the system and 700 cases to teach it. It dozens of millions of frames on which the system was learned, and this is the current performance, what I showed you, after learning on that. Now, of course, we want to continue to let it learn and to be more accurate. But because of regulatory issues, because if the system is learning while it's running, like the system is actually changing. So the first version won't learn by itself. But what we will do, we record the cases that the system is participating in. We send it back to our. We do it with the consent of the medical centers, of course, if they agree and if they can do that. And then we get additional data from the medical centers. And then we would like to do what we call fine tuning for each centers. Like we're getting more videos from specific centers for their specific machines. And we believe that by that, we will be able to continue to train the system to be more accurate for each center and thus to send a specific version with a specific model of AI to each center.
Up next, Donald Tang, Managing Partner of Shanghai Creation Investment. What do you think of this Israeli company specialized in pharmaceutical business?
The colonoscopy industry has been over there for more than 60 years. So in 1957, Olympus invented the first colonoscopy with the current, almost exactly the same current structure. So with that, many innovations has been put into the market. For example, there are many other solutions, like there are double balloons, which was put in the place by Olympus and also other trials. So my question here is, so considering the other inventors, other innovations, what makes you unique in this AI solution? There has been more than 20 other innovations in other ways. And also you see the comparisons of your competitors. So what makes you unique in this market, considering that this product, this solution, this general plan has been in the market for so long time?
Yeah, I understand better your question. Thank you. AI is like, completely different game. And actually, I think we can say it even a game changer. The colonoscopy is done exactly the same way. We change nothing in the equipment or in the way the physician is doing. It's like an additional eye, like a third eye, which is near the physician and helps the physician to find more polyps. So very convenient to the physician and just can give him benefit. And now about the benefit itself, there are several research already, before we started, we tested that, and there are research about, they gave a physician to be with a nurse, an experienced nurse near the physician, And all what she did is just look at the screen and told him to look here and there when she suspected that can be a polyp. And this increases dramatically, like I think in about 20% or something like that, it was the number of polyps that were found. Now we already have tested this thing on our offline data, because we have all the data about each movie, you know, how many polyps were found and where were found, because we get with each movie also the procedure report and the pathology report. And according to our calculation, and this is what we are going to prove in the current clinical trial, is that we increase the measurement, which is called, like it's from the literature, it's called APC, adenoma per colonoscopy. Adenoma is the type of the polyps which are more dangerous. This is what most of the physicians want to look at, like how many more adenomas are detected. So we are going to, we're supposed to increase the APC by 50% relative, which means the number of adenomas which are found per patient, per colonoscopy today will be increased by multiply 1.5. If you want to give you a number, for example, the number today is said to be 0.3, like on average 0.3 adenomas are found per patient. And with our system, the numbers shows that it, like when we test our system in the movies and see how many polyps it found in adenoma compared to what physician found, it is around 45, 0.45. So this is a really meaningful increase, and I can tell you that I think since we are really very good, I would say familiar and involved with the ecosystem of the gastroenterology of this day, after 6 years in this area, I tell you that there is a real understanding that AI is going to really make a change in the GI. And as I said, with about our second pattern, it won't be only detection. Like with AI, you know, it's very easy to add additional features. It's just more algorithms, more features. It's very hard to develop them, but once you have them, it's very easy to add them. And there's many important things that physicians are looking for, like helping calculating the polyp size. The thing that I've said, you know, they classify the type of polyp, quality measurements, and stuff like that. So I hope this answered the first question.
Yeah, one more add-on question regarding to that. So my question is actually about the false positive ratio and the missing ratio. How do you balance them in the early detection?
Oh, good. So the way we do it,
because in the early polyps, because it's very difficult to detect, and also it could be easily be mixed with other syndromes. So simply you get the problem with the false positive and missing the polyps. How do you balance them? Probably you don't have the answer right on your top of your mind, but I think this is a major problem.
We treat it very carefully. This is definitely, I mean, the issue is on our mind for, you know, more than a year or two, and I will tell you because we put a focus on that. The way we are doing that is that we, from the beginning, we think that the false positive is a problem because too many false positive, it will mislead the physician, and physician wouldn't like to work with it. And on the other hand, having too many false negatives, which means too many misses, you know, it will be less effective. So what we are doing for more than a year, actually it's 2 years, the way we are doing the development is that after the system is trained, then, you know, we have to set a threshold. So we take, and we have the data, our testing database with all the polyps and the ground truths. And we set the threshold to a number that we get a precision of 96, of 96%. Precision is calculated as the number of false positive divided by the total, by the false positive plus false negative, plus true positive. Like how many of your alerts are accurate. So 96 of our alerts are accurate, and we always train it, you know, we set the threshold to be 96%, and then we train it again and again and again, only to increase what is called the recall, like the, you know, the true, the true positive. In this way, we always keep that there won't be too much false positives, because we always set the threshold to be 96. We see the results, we see what we have to correct and retrain the system. And so we keep always the same amount of precision, which means low rate of false positive, and increase the true positive.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Jordan. I think you answered the question. So, but yeah, we would like to see more data. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm happy to hear that.
Up next, Dynamic Light is a company based in Texas. Its mission is to enable real-time blood flow imaging to improve healthcare and lower healthcare costs. It aims to support better decision-making by providing physicians continuous, quantitative, and high-resolution visualization. I'd like to invite Dr. Len Paglialo, CEO of Dynamic Light, to present his company. Sir, welcome.
And using a screen where the surgeon is looking at a screen instead of looking through a glass, a binocular microscope. Many advantages to this kind of system, as I mentioned. Now, the standard of care for visualizing blood flow during surgery is an injectable dye. It requires an injection, an intravenous injection of a fluorescent dye. That fluorescent dye circulates throughout the patient's body, and it's visualized with an imaging system. The problem is that the image quality is not very good, and it fades very quickly because the dye gets diluted in the blood flow, washes out of the field of view. Now, on the right, we show our technology that does not require an injection. It's continuous, it's real-time, and it's completely non-invasive. And so if you compare the two side by side, the standard of care, the injectable dye, it's called indocyanine green angiography. It has significant disadvantages compared to our technology. Ours is, of course, real-time. They're both real-time, but ours is non-invasive, it's continuous, and it's quantitative. Important differences for the surgeon to get additional information during a surgical procedure. Now, this shows in real time, comparing side by side in an animal study. On the left, you see the standard of care. You see indocyanine green angiography, and you can visualize blood flow there. On the right, you see our technology, which we call Speckle View imaging. And you can see the difference where in that circle, there's a white circle on the screen. In that circle, a stroke occurs. And we can run this again. And you can see a stroke occurring in the circle on the right, but you cannot see that nearly as well in the circle on the left. So again, the standard of care, what's in use today, is on the left. Our technology is on the right. Now, this is an animal model where we compared the two technologies side by side. So the next step, of course, is to take this into the operating room. And that's what we've done now. And so this is in the operating room. It's in use. On the left, you see a screen that shows the white light, the visible light, surgical field, and then the monitor in the back shows in green an overlay of blood flow on that scene. So we can visualize blood flow in human surgery in real time, and the surgeon can see what they're working with. This is actually an aneurysm surgery. It's open brain procedure. It's an aneurysm surgery where the surgeon needs to know where is the blood flow. He doesn't want to cut a vessel that has blood in it, of course, and he wants to make sure that he's clamped off blood flow to the aneurysm. Green back here represents blood flow. And then here's another video loop. This would be more of the surgeon view, what the surgeon's looking at. Again, this is in brain surgery. We have several markets we can appeal to: brain surgery, colon bariatric surgery, plastic and reconstructive surgery. And so here's the view the surgeon would get during surgery, where again, white light is on the upper left. The standard of care is on the upper right. You can see a little bit of fluorescence coming in there. Our technology is continuous and shows blood flow overlaid on the surgical field in real time. And I can run that one again too. So in the lower panel is the overlay in green, visualizing blood flow in real time on the surgical field. So the product we have developed is called Speckle View. That's the name for it. It uses speckle imaging characteristics of dynamic light scattering. The software interface is on the left, and on the right is a typical speckle image. You can generate pseudo color as you like. depending on what the surgeon prefers. We're seeing recently in surgeries that surgeons are used to looking at a green color for the endosign and green angiography, and so we can pseudo-color blood flow green, which is something they prefer to see. Now, if we compare the market sizes that we've estimated, this is based on the information we can get, of course, there are significantly larger markets for surgical procedures in China than there are currently in the US. And so it's not only the most rapidly growing market in the world, but we believe it's already the largest market in the world. So if we segment out plastic and reconstructive surgery and neurosurgical applications, these are the approximate numbers we get for market size. They're very substantial markets. There are additional markets such as colon bariatric surgery, which are coming online very quickly. And so I think there's ample market opportunity for expanding into China in a number of different applications. Now, the products we've developed, we started with core algorithms on the upper left, dynamic light algorithms. They're patented algorithms, very compact, very efficient. We've encoded that into a software library, which we call Speckle View. Speckle View is extremely compact, very, very efficient software. We can run our software on a commodity computer, a high-end laptop at 1,000 frames per second. You need that speed in order to get the ability to get very fast feedback to the surgeon and also to average images to reduce noise and get the best image quality. And we do that already, very, very fast software. Now, the next generation we're working on is Speckle View AI, and that will incorporate elements of artificial intelligence, machine learning into the software to alert the surgeon to things that may be going on that the surgeon's unaware of, and then also to help predict surgical outcomes much earlier in the procedure. Of course, this is going to require a lot of training data sets, and we're in the early phases of setting that up with a strategic partner here in the United States. The software we have is multi-platform, it's cross-platform software. We don't need any special hardware, we don't need any special computing hardware. We do need laser light to illuminate the field, but many of these devices already have lasers incorporated. So we can work with endoscopes, we can work with, on the upper right, surgical exoscopes. We can work with, on the lower right, surgical microscope systems, in the lower center, surgical robotics, and then on the lower left, conventional surgical microscopes. So there's a wide range of systems we can work with. It's really platform independent. We can work on all of these platforms well. They all have some kind of imaging system, cameras, they all have computers integrated. Most of them already have lasers integrated into the system. So really it's adding the software to give that additional capability. Now, once we integrate into a platform, there are many advantages for the user of that platform, whether it's an endoscope or a surgical microscope or a surgical exoscope. So as we show in this slide, there are benefits for patients in terms of reducing time in surgical procedures and improving surgical outcomes. There are benefits for physicians in terms of reducing their time in surgeries and improving patient outcomes. Benefits for the providers, for the hospital systems, of course, and ultimately there are benefits for payers in the healthcare system because this is going to reduce healthcare costs. Improving patient outcomes is ultimately going to reduce healthcare costs, and it's going to be better, we believe, for all of the main stakeholders in the healthcare equation. We are already working with a number of strategic partners and evaluating our technology with them. The most interesting opportunities so far look like surgical robotics and surgical microscopes, but we are examining a number of possibilities to see what's going to be the best fit. We think there will be several good fits in different areas of technology for our Speckle View system. As a company, we've completed a number of important milestones. We do have a license to, an exclusive license to an issued patent. We have a second patent in preparation now that's going to be a company-owned patent around new aspects of what we're doing. The technology has been developed on almost $4 million of non-dilutive funding. We completed a clinical study last year, 26-patient clinical study that established safety and efficacy of our technology. And we currently have a second clinical study underway in Austin, Texas, that is comparing our technology side by side with the standard of care in real time in the same patients, and very good data so far. Our scientific team is about to submit a paper, a publication about this. We completed a seed raise in 2019, and we're currently raising a second round of financing now. And so that second round of financing is $1.5 million US. Our seed raise was $330,000 US. And so we've been very capital efficient, very lean and mean. Our main objectives for the current round are to get solid connections with a strategic partner. We want to expand into the Chinese market, and our goal is to establish some kind of a presence in China so we can better leverage the Chinese market. We have a strong founding team and a strong board. Currently, in the upper left is Andrew Dunn. He's a professor at the University of Texas at Austin. His laboratory has developed the technology we're using over about the past 20 years. So he is the expert in the software. Myself, I've been through a number of companies previously and brought products to market, including products that have been marketed in the Asian market, in China and in other Asian countries. On the right is David Miller, who conducts our clinical studies and works very closely with the neurosurgeons in the operating room doing that. And then on the lower panel, we have 4 board members that are great board members for us, who have a range of experience with medical device companies, with the legal aspects of it. 2 of them are physicians. And so it's really a very good breadth of experience we have on our board of advisors. Now, the last thing I want to leave you with is our vision for the future. We're not there yet, but it's the direction we're moving in, and it's a very exciting direction. And that is the ability to make the system smarter, to really take advantage of the things that computers can do well, and to assist the surgeon and to make the surgeon's life easier. So what we imagine is a system that will alert surgeons when there might be something going on in a surgical field and say, hey, doc, listen, there's something you need to take a look at here, and be advised that you need to attend to this during surgery. And I think that's something that physicians would like, patients would like, hospital systems would like, payers would like. It's really good for everybody in the healthcare system. So I can stop there, and I'd be happy to take any questions. Thank you very much.
Mr. Liu Luo, Secretary General of Internationalization Committee of China Pharmaceutical Enterprise Association, I would like to invite you to give your comment on this company.
The first question, do you use a laser, use your technology, or other technology to detect the stroke? If the laser, do they have hurt the body?
Yes, we do use a laser. It's a very low power laser, a red laser. It can be in a wide range of the red end of the spectrum, but it's a very low power laser, and it doesn't damage the body. It doesn't hurt the body. And in fact, in the operating room, the surgeon typically can't even tell if the laser is on or not, because it's less intense than the lights, the operating room lights.
You have some study like for the coronary heart disease detection by your technology? CHD.
For heart disease?
Yeah. Coronary heart disease, yes.
Well, we haven't done much work for heart disease, and the reason for that is that the penetration depth is limited with our technology. So, for example, you can't see through the chest. You can see the first few millimeters of tissue, but you can't see deep into the body with our technology. Now, for open heart surgery, I think there are some capabilities there. I think that's a possibility, but not through, many centimeters of skin and tissue.
Okay. The last question. So compare with like digital subtraction agonography, like DSA. So what's your advantage compared with the traditional technology?
A DSA, digital subtraction angiography?
Yeah. That's
right. Yes. Well, DSA, my understanding of it is, I'm not an expert in it, but it does require an injectable dye. And so it's a more invasive type of procedure. and it requires specialized equipment that's dedicated for that procedure. It works, but the invasiveness and the special equipment, I think, are things that make it less desirable than our technology. Ours is non-invasive. It requires only systems that typically are already in place in the operating room, whether that's a surgical microscope or a robotic system or a surgical imaging system. And so we can run our software on those platforms and add a capability without requiring an additional piece of equipment in the operating room.
Mr. Tang Yonghong, Executive Chairman of China International Medical Device Regulatory Forum, I'd like to have your thoughts on this medical firm. Thank you.
Can you all get satisfying results from different imaging hardwares? Speaking of accuracy and precision.
Well, so if I understand the question, yes, we can use a wide range of different imaging hardware. We can use the cameras that are typically used in systems like surgical microscopes, surgical exoscopes, surgical robotics, and we have been on all those systems, and we have obtained good image quality with them. In terms of the accuracy and precision, we provide quantitative information, or perhaps you could say semi-quantitative information in real time. So you can say blood flow has doubled or blood flow has decreased by 10 or 20% or what have you. If we want absolute quantitative information, then the system has to be calibrated, and it has to be calibrated with the appropriate a known marker, for example, for blood flow. So we typically don't do that during human surgeries, but it can be done if necessary.
Okay, is the calculation done by your system automatically, or the physician has to do it?
No, the calculation can be done by the system in real time. And I don't think I have a backup slide on this deck, but I can send you some slides where we're showing quantitation of blood flow in real time during a surgery, where the surgeon can see a graphical presentation of blood flow in real time during surgery. And they can see, for example, if they clamp an artery, they can see the blood flow drop, and they can see that it's dropped by 10% or 50% or 90%, for example.
Okay, has this system got FDA approval to enter the US market?
It does not have FDA approval yet. We've started the regulatory process in the USA. It's going to be 510K, Class 2 510K approval, and we've completed many of the initial parts necessary for FDA approval. So we have a quality management system in place. We have design history files in place. We've started validation and verification on a standardized platform and so forth. And so we anticipate regulatory approval within the next 6 months.
PhysioQ is a consulting digital health and therapy device development company located in Silicon Valley. Its device strives to make people with high blood pressure live healthier, happier, and longer lives. It has developed an innovative, non-invasive approach to thermoneural solution of the nervous system for immediate and also sustainable hypertension reduction. Very important functions over there. Now, I would like to invite the representative of this company, Simon Yi, President and COO of PhysioQ, to say a few words. Sir, welcome.
So as I mentioned to you, is our company, we started 5 years ago in the Silicon Valley in California. And then we have the focus for this thermal neurostimulation technology to the hypertension and headache and migraine device. So as I mentioned, is we already have a hypertension and headache and migraine device, and also is we also have a mobile connection. So we have this patient monitoring system. Plus, we also have a biosensor to stimulation. You know, the hypertension market is very global. Typically in this Russia, Brazil, and also China is more than 35% become a hypertension. But it's a problem is to the still medicine is many side effects. So people do not want to take a medication. That's the reason is that they are looking for another solution. So we have a solution. So we have a device. Just initially you need to find the Jingdongmek to this ROD. And then if you find the ROD, we turn on the device, put on the Jingdongmek to the 5 minutes, we can decrease the blood pressure right away. So example is one African American lady. Her using the device, initial before is 149 to 95 is coming out, but after 5 minutes using the device, her blood pressure dropped to the 120 to the 87. So typically is systolic control is a little easy, but it's a diastolic very hard. But we can decrease the systolic and the diastolic together at the same time. So we have some clinical trial for this initially 60 patients. So this 60 patients never take a medication. So every day they come to this clinic, they check the people, and then after using the 5 minutes, wait for the 10 minutes, and then try to using the device for 5 minutes later. And then we check the people and after. So every day they using the device, 6 to 8 days later, very interesting is a stage 1, stage 2 hypertension group, 87 of people we can decrease blood pressure. So we are decrease the blood pressure, especially the stage 1, stage 2 hypertension group. People ask is how is slowly work. Depends on whenever just the hourly to stimulation, depends on the people up to 1 to 6 hours on hold down initially using, but every day using is, and then at least 1 to 2 hours later and 2 weeks later, is cover more than 24 hours. So we are slowly reduce the blood pressure drop down to this blood pressure drop down. Even if just we are working with the medication, because we cannot say to stop the medication with the medication. So we work with the medicine people, and then, but interesting is whenever people take this device with our device, and then we can decrease the blood pressure more drop down. So later, and then their medical doctor to recommendation is your blood pressure already dropped at a certain ranges, so they can decrease the medication. So we are also, our device is working with the medication and the more better benefit with them. As many people ask is how it works. So because we are the stimulation to the core therapy with the vibration, the combination to the baroreceptor. So baroreceptor's stimulation meaning is for this whenever stimulation on the artery, and then going signal going to brain. So brain nervous system to control your body to rebalance up. So we can decrease blood pressure drop down. So I can explain to later to the Q&A time. And even though we have a biosensor, we're developing the biosensor to this. So whenever people hold the device, we check the blood pressure and send the data to mobile. So all the data going to cloud base. So people can easily see the daily, weekly, monthly, and up to 6 months data to text. So many medical doctors like this one because they hold the device, no cap, and then they can, their patient history too, they can see this monitoring system. But this device is the next wave for our next device. Even though our company developing the migraine headache, typically migraine headache is many women's disease. So that's the reason is more women's thicker than this men. So they are looking for the solution because still medicine is a side effect. So we have a device. So we just turn on the device, put on this temporal area, and then we can eliminate the pain or just decrease the pain. So we have done to this pilot test in the United States. And then interesting is that within 5 minutes, 70% of patients, we can decrease the pain very quickly. So we are very successful. And then even though we are test with the competitor test with the other device, and then our device is 6 times faster. We can decrease the pain within this 5 minutes. And then also 70% of patient is gone. Typically, I went to China last year, and many people drunk, and then they using this device, the pain is gone, or just wake up earlier. So that's our device is much better benefit for this other device. Even as I mentioned, is many women to using this device up to now because the device has come out 4 months ago. So they just very positive. Up to 80% of people say it's work for me. My sister using the device, it's work for them. And then first time is not work, but second time I using it's work for them. Typically, one of the very famous venture capital from German, Dr. Marina, is come to my office, and then she used the device. It's work for her, and the next day pain is not attacked to her again. So they invest our company. So we are this portfolio company through this AQL in German investment. And so we are just using this thermal neurostimulation to block the temporal area, temporal effect. So specific some point to the VR stimulation, so we block to the nervous system. As I mentioned, is to those many, even those many women or many patients using the device, but their feedback is always 1 or 2 sentences. So we need to collect the patient history. That's the reason is we also launched this migraine queue for this patient migraine patient daily pain monitoring system. So you can download through the Google or Apple Store. But is we are recording for the daily treatment and then also a trigger and then pain history. So even though the patient can recording themselves. So during the Corona time is many patient cannot go into hospital. So typically many doctors like our system because they told me, Simon, I can see my patient history totally. So I have a more better benefit to communication with them. So our just the final goal is to this, we sell the more device, but we built up to the community. So that's the reason is we are help the people's life, improve the life. And then that's the, we have a mobile section. Even we have as a competitor, of course, is a very accepted competitor device already come out the market, but all the device electrical stimulation side. So even though the gamma core, they are using this electrical stimulation on this ROE, but it's very inconvenient to using because electrical stimulation meaning is for the more electrical conductivity to using. So they put this chair on the neck, hold the device for the 5 to 2 hours. So very inconvenient. That's the reason is a patient not buy this device. So they are list the device for $500 for this monthly. So our device is just one time to purchasing. Other device also is a PMA device. So people do not want to, patient do not want to put the device under their body. Typically, our team is a very strong team member because everybody has an industrial expert. Even me is a this is my 6th company. Joanang is in the joining here, but is everybody has an industrial expert plus the investor experience to this company. Typically, we have a very strong medical advisor team. We have a Stanford medical doctor to the UCSF medical doctor to supporting this project. And then we have a urology doctor to the cardiovascular doctor. Interesting is one of the Stanford medical doctor, he liked it and then he invested our company. So we are we receive the medical doctor's money from them. And you know, it's a hypertension headache is a global issue. That's the reason is up to today, we received a $3.5 million fund from the multinational because hypertension headache is a multinational problem. So we already got this Chinese investment. So we, Tsinghua University Invest Group, they invest our company. So we are received the money from the China, Hong Kong, Singapore, even Korea and Germany to invest in this project. And also we are working in this 3 US hospital and also Saudi Arabia hospital because usually Saudi Arabia, typically Middle East has a very strong cardiovascular problem. So that's the reason is we are the partner with the King Faisal Hospital together with us. Our company is to this, we are looking for the strategic partner. That's the reason is our company is we do not want to manufacture ourselves, but we also do not want to sell ourselves. That's why we're looking for the partner. So now in the device, we make this $120, sell to the $299. But we have a Japanese partner and then Indonesia and the Middle East partner, but we do not have a Chinese partner. That's the we're coming to present to you looking for the Chinese partner. Our company is to the device come out to the 4 months ago. We already sold $200,000, but it's within 5 years, we reach up to the $100 million revenue. And then, so that's the reason is pretty much is within 5 years, we sell the company to the big pharma or medical device company. That's the best way to return back the money to the old investor. That's what we are working now, but it's very positive because the device is already ready. So we have a hypertension device, we have a headache migraine device, we also have a mobile section, plus the biosensor. So we keep increase the company value up. So pretty much within 5 years, we reach up to this goal. So now just the company, we are looking for the $7 million US because the company free money valuation is a 15 million free money valuation. So after we closing and then we supporting this money to this FDA 510K, more certification, and then also more supporting to the publish the paper and then marketing purpose to using. So anybody interesting, please let us know so we can invite to syndicate investor. We already have a leading investor for this round. So even though we have a Chinese version, So we have an English version, but we also have a Chinese version for this hypertension headache device. So sooner or later, you guys see the Chinese version in the China market. So even if just, it's a Corona time, very hard, and then, but we received this year, we present, and then we received some award from some place. Even though I went to Shanghai for the last December, and then we pitched to them, and then we got this most innovation device from the Shanghai some event. So we got the many awards from China, US, and then also is many different places. So
experts who comment on this will be Chang Yongheng, Executive Chairman of China International Medical Device Regulatory Forum. Sir, the floor is yours.
I think this is a very interesting device. And the patient examples you gave us are also very interesting. I saw one patient at the age of 67 who had hypertension. And after using this device, so his hypertension was gone. And in 2 weeks, his blood pressure maintained at 120 and 90. Well, this is a very good result. My question is that, did he use this device only one time, or he had to use it every day within the 2 weeks?
Yeah, every day, because
Every day he has to use it.
Initially it depends on the people, up to 1 to 6 hours hold down, but everyday using is slowly going down. But many people ask me, what happened to the stop using the device? So we saw stop the using, and then warning is okay, but slowly return back again. Depends on your body condition or depends on your stress. So that's the reason this device using is once a day, for every day, 5 minutes for using.
Our next expert to comment on this company is Donald Tan, Managing Partner of Shanghai Creation Investment.
Somehow I didn't understand fully about the basic physical principle and the medical pathology of your technology. So to me, it's more like a thermal impact into neural or into muscle or into some tissue. How this would be transferred or delivered to have impact into the migraine or the hypertension. So this is what I try to understand. This is my first question. Secondly, how do you design a roadmap to protect your IP intellectual property in the international market?
Yeah, so Zhanang is explained, but we have a pattern. So I can explain to you to this. We have 2 patents already issued in the United States. And also we are patent pending the 3 more patents in the US, China, Japan, and also Europe. That's the we are do. So 2 patents is already issued the patent. So we might protect this patent issue to this copy from the copycat. And also another one is a mechanism is for the viral receptor is already well known in the China, Western medical, because typically is to this China is the many years for this acupuncture, acupressure, but Western medical explain this viral receptor, meaning is for this we are stimulation to the nervous system. So because whenever somebody has a proper high or shock and then they falling down to come to the hospital, internal medical doctor, they massage it to the artery. And then whenever massage it to the artery, and then so signal going to brain. So brain nervous system, the controls the blood pressure is a little bit, blood flowing is looks like expand. So it's a blood pressure drop down very quickly, but very quickly go back again. That's the reason is we are approaching to the study, to this, how we can sustainably on hold for this longer time. That's the we using the thermal neurostimulation and temperature. That's the we do. So this mechanism is already ready to the known to the Western or Eastern medical. That's the reason is that we have a competitor device come out.
Our third commentator is Liu Luo, Secretary General of Internationalization Committee of China Pharmaceutical Enterprises Association. Sir, please.
A quick question for Simon. So I think the product like something like a digital health, and the digital health product is like a buzzword in China for recent years. So my question is that what's like your fee model for this kind of device? Do you go to the customer side, to the patient side, or go to the doctor side? That's my question. Thank you.
Okay, so depends, because as I mentioned, we do not want to manufacture as ourselves, but we also do not want to sell ourselves. So it depends on the partner. So if a partner wanna sell the device through this medical doctor, they can do it. So example is we have a Japanese partner. Their CMI is a medical device import company. So they are selling the device through the medical doctor. So that's the reason is sell the device directly for the medical doctor or hospital initially, and then so they can lease or just sell this to their patient or they testing themselves. But in the Middle East, they sell the device directly for the consumer side. So that's the depends on the partner.
Up next, Padius. Padius is a communication system that allows deaf people to make normal phone calls. It can be used to make important phone calls, to book doctor appointments, or making restaurant bookings, or simply to call family, friends, and their loved ones. Lorenzo Di Ciasio is CEO of Padius. Sir, please introduce your company to our audience.
Thanks for this opportunity to have some from overseas presenting this solution. So company's name is Padius, and is an app that allows deaf people to make phone calls. So the story came from 7 years ago when a friend of mine had a car accident and he wasn't able to call an ambulance at the third track. So like 70 million people in the world are deaf. So the issue is not only making a phone call to call for emergency service, but even a lot of service like public offices, even call a plumber can be a problem if you have any hearing problem. So in the world, deaf people are very high tech. So they use smartphone, and now technology is very pervasive. And 1/3 of the deaf population lives in China. That is the reason why our company has set up the mission and the goal to enter in the Chinese market to serve all the deaf community, the Chinese deaf community that is struggling. Just to give an idea, all the city of Beijing, with more than 20,000 deaf people, they only have 3 sign language interpreters. That's very limiting the capability and the education of deaf people. So there are a lot of laws that are enforcing. So now China is looking more for inclusion in education on work. I select a couple of articles, but since time is short, I will go very short in this time. We were invited in Chengdu. We were presenting our solution 2 years ago. So it's a long process to enter and to adapt our technology to the Chinese language and all the Chinese accent. And of course, at the end, we almost managed to do that. And I would like just to share one story of Monica. It was one of the first users 7 years ago. She was pregnant and she used the app to make a phone call to the doctor. The doctor came to visit her and everything was fine, fortunately. So we have a meeting with a China Disabled Person Federation. So we got a lot of contact and they were very enthusiastic about our technology. We had a pilot with 100 deaf people selected in Beijing, and we'll keep going on in the research of a local partner to establish a legal entity in China. In the meanwhile, I'll just go, what is the solution? So we use text-to-speech and voice recognition in order to transform a chat in a phone call. So basically, the user type a message, and in real time, a phone call starts. So there is no upper required on the other side. Every sentence pronounced are converted to text simultaneously. So there is an artificial voice speaking and an artificial ear translating in text. So the user experience for the deaf person is like having a chat, but on the other side, it's like talking to a robot. This is the feeling. So this is just one screen of the app. You have the contact list, so you can call any phone, but then what he have developed is a service list. So it's a kind of a yellow pages of accessible services. So in case I need to talk with the bank to block my credit card or to call for road assistance, I can go and navigate in the section and call for some service. This is just one example. I will go. This is an hospital, so the user can navigate in the menu, and if you need, based on the requirements, so if I need to make an appointment, I can click and enter all my data. So this is in Italian because it's the real case of an Italian hospital. But by the way, this can be applied to any other languages. So we prefill a form to start the phone call in order that the user get all the permission before starting the call. So those are a few example: banks, municipality, roadside assistance. I will go through all those examples. And I would like to announce that last year, in September 29, we launched officially in Hong Kong, thanks to the partnership with CSL. So CSL selected the Pedius as a partner to enable phone calls for all the deaf people. So they decided to pay all the phone calls for the deaf community. And in the picture, the president, Mr. Bruce Lamb, that was the president of CSL, that was representing in the official launch ceremony. And those are the news got very popular. Now we start working. We have one person in Hong Kong working with among the deaf community, and we fine-tuned the language for Cantonese and Mandarin, so both languages. And now we are cooperating with the Chinese University in Hong Kong to bring caption in all the university, so in order to provide an accessible education for all the deaf students. So nowadays we have more than 30,000 users in 14 countries, and we support 7 languages. I just have a couple of customers like banks, insurance, telcos, or the main customer of our company. So the solution doesn't require any change of infrastructure from the customer for the company. Because imagine a bank, if they have to change the call center, they will never use any other solution. So as soon like they can receive phone call, they can receive phone call with Pedius. So we integrated the biggest call center in Italy that is receiving 100,000 phone call a day in just 48 hours, sorry. So this is just an example how we can adapt also our solution for each country to keep the data safe and without moving the data outside the country. So we are planning to open a data center that will, for the VoIP, all the phone communication will be handled by a local provider. Our company raised almost 2 million euros from private investor, and one of the investors, Team Ventures. The phone is a national phone company, Italian phone company. And now we are planning to raise a new venture round for the opening of the Chinese branch. And of course, in order to do that, we are looking also for a local partner that it would help us for the logistics and the commercial activities. And moreover, we are focusing on elderly and providing an accessible captioning for everything from the TV and conversation using smart TV, tablet, and we bring caption a pervasive mode in every environment. We also had some telemedicine project to create a phone robot, a kind of chatbot over phone that can be used as a reminder to remind the people to get the medicine. We can also monitor the usage of the phone call, the activity of the person, and it would be very helpful for retirement homes and to keep in contact with all the relatives, because deafness and hearing loss it became more a social issue by aging, because there is a study in the geriatric hospital that is show that the seniors started abandoning the phone when they are able to understand half of the words. That means that they can still make a phone call in case of emergency, but what is affecting is the feeling, the pleasure to have a chat with a friend. So it brings more to social isolation. And this is especially during the pandemic, this effect is much more amplified because people have to rely much more on remote and conferencing and other social activities. So all the social activities are reduced. So if you have any hearing issue, that your social life will be heavily affected. So bringing caption in those environments will help to provide a better quality of life. And this is just a few articles mentioning us during our pilot in China. So That is the end of my presentation. So if you have any question, I would be more than happy to answer that.
Our first expert to assess this project is Wu Haibo, Chairman of the Board at the Giant Medifarm Services.
How about the accuracy of your transfer from the voice to words, especially for some people with some accent? Did they need special training for them to transfer to the words?
Okay, no, there is our technology is speaker independent, so there is not training necessary, especially because when you make a phone call, you don't know the person that will answer. So our technology is focused on that, and now we are working one information that we know when we make a phone call, because I'm calling an hospital, I can use a different vocabulary. So I'm expecting more medical related vocabulary. This can increase the accuracy. And also we are working with a local partner. I don't want to say in Chinese because I don't pronounce it badly, but it's the local partner, like iFlyTech is the single. iFlyTech is also working a lot in dialect. So we are collecting the voice sample and using the phone prefix, we can relate it to one specific area. So when you call one number, we can expect some accent instead of another one. And from our experiment at the moment, we reach like for 90% of accuracy from Mandarin, and also for Cantonese, we still have like an 85 to 87% of accuracy because of course there are less speakers. Mandarin is more fragmented, there are more accent, and more the system will be used, and more the quality will be increased.
Next up, Li Xiaoqiang, founder and chairman, Your Health and Wellness International Medical Clinic.
Hi, Lorenzo. Thank you very much for sharing with this very ingenious innovation product that is probably beneficial to deaf people. If this is your roadshow, I as the investor, I would like to see that how, first of all, I'd like to see how your product is more competitive compared to the other comparable products.
Thank you for a very great input and very great opportunity to go more deeper about our technology. As you mentioned, I will go first for the technology, the first question. And as I mentioned, iFlyTech, I can't pronounce the Chinese name, but it's the major voice recognition company in the world. We also get in contact with them, trying to enter in their acceleration program. Because of course, we cannot, as a startup, as a small company, we cannot compete with them with their technology. Our technology is divided, we call a meta engine. But that means that we can use several providers, several voice recognition engines simultaneously. So we can use like a Google that is very efficient for English. We can use multiple services simultaneously, and we have also built our own. So for each transcription, we got multiple transcription, and if all the engine give the same result, this means that the transcription is very accurate. In base of differences of all the results, we can feel it if the quality is that we have another parameters to evaluate the quality of the transcription. So one of the goals with a local partner is the partnership with those with the iFlyTech to cooperate and use also their model, the language model. We can cooperate with them instead of competing.
Last but not least, John Chen, Senior Director at Business and Strategic Development of Hua Hui Anking Biotechnology Corporation Limited.
Hi, Lorenzo. Thank you very much for your time. As you know, China intrinsically as a market has a lot of very, very strong domestic players. Glad that you mentioned Tencent. WeChat is basically ubiquitous in the user market in China. So adoption rate is very high. So my main concern with the services like yours would be sort of, and maybe you could address this, is that the dictation function is relatively matured. And what I would be worried about is sort of every user has that inertia, especially with the social apps being so prevalent in China as it is. So, and I understand the functionality might not be as sophisticated and might not be as tailor-made as your service is providing. But what's your value add to sort of, if you want to be a competitor in this competitive space, to overcome the user inertia? Do you have any thoughts on working with social media, social app companies such as Tencent, with such a strong foothold and with WeChat?
And also, I believe that a company like the Tencent, even if they have like a much more resource than us, they will focus more on the mainstream market, because of course a small investment for them needs to require a large audience. So the deaf niche is all over the world is considered not big enough to be considered like the principal choice of any big company. So all the beneficial the deaf community receive from the technology has been received as a bounce, so not as a primary target. So what we offer is a tailored solution for those community, and that can be applied for employees and for education. And of course, it would be just a tailoring a more specific solution for even their technology. So we can help cooperating with them to do the fine tuning of their technology in the deaf community. So that's just what makes us different. So we are not competing on the technology, because of course, from linguistic approach and all the other aspects, there is no gain.
Last but not least, I would like to invite Xin Xiaoxun, Vice Director at the Research Center for Health Policy of Beijing Health Promotion Association.
Thank you for your presentation. There are a lot of, maybe more than 10% people in China who have hearing disorders. So it's a very huge market in China. But I think maybe there's a problem you should deal with. China, there have a lot of dialects. Maybe the people in different provinces, they say different language. Maybe in Guangdong province, Shanghai province, there are a lot of dialects. How to deal with this?
So generally, this approach is solved using multiple engines simultaneously. This is a higher cost and also slow down, because I need to run maybe 5 times, or if you have more than 5 dialects, 10 times the same different engines, and then compare the result. So of course, I will get the answer not at the beginning. I need the people speak a little bit more. Maybe on some word I will get the information. So what we have is, calling on a phone number, we can know in advance which dialect, more chance to speak this dialect instead of another one. Like if you call an Hong Kong number, our engine will default use Cantonese. If you call maybe in another region, you can use like from Sichuan, or maybe from Beijing, you can use more pure Mandarin. So this is our solution can also help companies like Hypertech to get more classified data, because this problem can be solved only collecting more and classified data. The big issue, and this is at the beginning, all the Mandarin database is not classified by dialect. So they put all in the same engine, and so we have an engine that is performing well, but not perfectly with the several dialects. And sometimes the dominant dialect is dominating also the other. We have a similar experiment in Switzerland, where they speak German, but a Swiss German is a very small niche. There is not enough sample to provide an accurate service on that. And so we were working on this fine tuning. When you are calling a Swiss number, you try to use a different engine. So this is a way to increase the quality and also help our partner, our voice recognition company, to increase and get more awareness about the Chinese dialect.
The next company we're presenting is Novus Scan. This company aims to improve the detection and classification of cancer, be it initial detection, at procedure examination, or in post-procedural diagnosis. It emphasizes improving patient outcomes, increase physician economics, and reduce the cost of care. Now, I would like to invite the representatives of Novus Scan to present their company.
My name is Craig Davis, and I'm the CEO of Novus Scan. We're an oncology company with a new modality for the detection, treatment, and stratification of cancer. Today, cancer is typically detected through pathology. It's a qualitative art. It takes time. It's hard to do it intraoperatively. It's expensive, and it's especially within medicine. It destroys the tissue by definition, and it works chemically and biologically. We have a new modality that can be used adjunctively, that can complement, that doesn't need to replace. that can be done in seconds and is best done intraoperatively. That's very, very inexpensive. And that's inexpensive in two dimensions. It's inexpensive in terms of physician time, and it's inexpensive in terms of cost of goods of the devices. It's very easy to do. You press a button, you get the answer. Surgeons can learn to do this in minutes, not years. We don't destroy anything, and we work electrically. Novus Scan was founded by Dr. Bill Gregory, who was a physicist out of MIT, who spent the last 30 years studying the electrical properties of cells. And 7.5 years ago, he realized something very, very novel. He realized that there's one electrical parameter that relates to how quickly a cell releases a charge, called the Cole frequency, that varies hugely between normal and cancerous tissue. I want to take a look at the graph in here, but I want to take your eye to the horizontal axis. That is a log scale. If that was a linear scale, benign would be on the left and cancer would be somewhere across the street. It is several orders of magnitude. It is really, really huge. And because it is such a big difference, we tend to be very, very accurate when we use it to determine if cancer is present. And Novus Scan has a lot of intellectual property around the use of it. This is a platform technology that came out of academia, and work has been done in a number of different areas. It started in mammography, work has been done in breast margin. We have joint ventures in biopsy and in lung, and we have an initiative in skin cancer. But all of these things have several common traits we think are really, really important for cancer diagnostics. The most important thing is it has to work. In 5 clinical trials and more than 400 patients, sensitivity in each and every case is above 98%. And specificity is very, very good too. Secondly, in 2020 and going forward in the US and in China and around the world, cost is important. These are very low cost devices. There is a disposable associated with this that can cost in the single-digit US dollars. And the capital equipment in almost all cases is less than 5,000 US. Third, it's simple and fast. You press a button, you get the answer. And we just don't tell you only that there's cancer present. We're also predictive. We inform on that cancer and we tell you if that cancer is likely to be aggressive or not. The only thing that needs to touch a tissue are electrodes. It can be 0.5 millimeter or smaller. So you can mount them on a needle, or you can use them in minimally invasive surgery. You could use it in targeted drug therapy. Some of the applications are in the doctor's office, some are in the operating room. Our strategy is as follows. The first thing is to partner with large device companies on most types of cancers. I would love to have partnership with some Chinese firms for this. Second one is to develop and build a skin cancer business ourselves. That is not a hospital sale, it's inexpensive to detail. Third is to build out the therapeutics opportunity, because the opportunity in therapeutics is very, very high value. We think we have a pan-cancer solution for cancer detection. We think it can be used several different ways. It can be used diagnostically, it can be used to inform on margin, and we can also tell if it's likely to recur and when it's likely to recur. We are active in non-melanoma skin cancer. We have done lots of work in breast and have JVs there. We have a very active JV in lung cancer. I would love to do work in prostate and colorectal and melanoma and frankly, every other type of cancer. Our lung products are really, really exciting to us. We have 2 potential products with our JV partner, which is one of the largest medical device companies in the world. The first one is a handheld wand. This can be used, by the surgeon during a lung cancer procedure to tell you immediately, is there cancer present or not? It touches the tip of the wand to that and it will give the answer. The second one involves inducing our electrodes into bronchoscopy to give real-time cancer detection. The bronchoscopy space is changing, it's dynamic. It used to be just rigid and flexible bronchoscopy that go about 1/3 of the way to the lung. Now there are several robotic platforms that can go through the entirety of the lung. An example of one of these is the RS platform. J&J acquired that for $3.4 billion US upfront when it was pre-revenue. For products like this, NovaHand greatly enhances the value proposition that they provide. There are a couple of unmet needs today in bronchoscopy. One of them is that lesions that are not visible under imaging are typically not able to see. The bronchoscopy won't help you if you don't see them. So you only see what's in the airway with bronchoscopy. The other one is when you go with bronchoscopy and you go to the lesion and you take a biopsy, those lesions are heterogeneous. So you might have a cancerous lesion, but you're only taking non-cancerous material, will give you a bad answer. And the Rose processes that are used in real-time assessment have poor specificity. Our electrodes can be employed in robotic and normal bronchoscopy. For a handheld surgical tool, we answer several fundamental questions. First, is the margin clear during a procedure? Are the lymph nodes involved? And if so, which ones? Or is this tumor or is this normal tissue? This has lots of value lots of value in lung cancer, but frankly, it has value in many other types of cancer surgeries. So with our partner, they came and they approached us, they asked us to work, and they asked us to demonstrate that the cold frequency can be used to detect cancer in lung tissue and lymph nodes. At that time, we had no data in lung. So we conducted a trial with them and that they paid for. They set a pretty high bar, and I'm happy to say that we exceeded it. So now we are building both a bronchoscopy project and a handheld wand. These products will get FDA clearance in 2022 and 2023. This is non-dilutive capital to Novus Scan. It comes in to build this, and we will monetize at the end. We also have a partnership in breast biopsy. Today in breast biopsy, when it's taken, the results are sent to a central lab, and it can take a week to 10 days before they come back to the answer. It depends upon the hospital system. There would be a value proposition in knowing that immediately. Our technology allows them to do that. We have several different value propositions. The first one is we eliminate the patient angst associated with waiting for that time. We can tell you immediately if there's cancer present or not. The second one is that we can help pathologists differentiate between early stage cancer and atypia. Pathology is very, very good at determining normal tissue, and it's very, very good at determining advanced cancer. When you're doing breast biopsies, the amount of tissue you have is very, very small. And mistakes are made about 30% of the time between atypia and early stage cancer. We can help inform on that. The other one is we can inform on cancer aggressiveness at the point of biopsy. It's akin to a genetic test that can be done point of care. Genetic tests are much more expensive than the disposables for biopsies. We think we changed the value proposition there. We have done a study in this space, and I'm happy to report our results were perfect. Every single time there was cancer, we said there was, and every time there wasn't, we also said that. So we can effectively inform on the presence of cancer in real time, and we may be able to help differentiate between atypia and DCIS. The workflow here is simple. You take the biopsies, you put them in our disposable, you put it in the cartridge, press the button, and the results come out immediately on the screen. This product will launch at the end of 2021 or early 2022. We're doing a skin solution ourselves, but this is actually broader than skin. It can be used for almost every ex vivo assessment. But for skin cancer today, when you try to get rid of it, there's two different ways to treat it surgically. The most common way is you just cut it out. And because there is no intraoperative assessment of margin during the procedure, the surgeon makes a large excision, and it is disfiguring. And because you did not assess margin during the procedure, it can come back. The other modality for doing this is something called Mohs surgery. In this case, the surgeon tries to excise only the cancer. Think of something on your eyelid or something like that. So you're assessing only the cancer, and then you do a frozen section assessment while the patient stays in the chair. So you freeze the tissue, you stain it, you interpret it. Where you have cancer in the margin, you come back and you take more. Then you freeze and you stain and you interpret it, and you continue this until you finish it. This is the gold standard, but there are a couple of problems. First is because this freezing, staining, interpreting process is long, it can take 40 minutes or more, and there is no way to know whether it's going to be 1 time or 2 times or 3 times or 4 times or more do it. So it's very, very inefficient to schedule. Using our device and our technology, we combine them both. So you do a tissue-sparing surgery just like in Mohs, but instead of having to do this freezing, staining, interpreting process with a central lab or with a lab on the premise, you just place it on a device and we scan it and we tell you immediately if there is cancer in it. Our initial trial was 98% sensitivity and specificity. We published it in the Journal of the American Academy of Dermatology, which is the top journal in the world in dermatology. We look for FDA approval late next year. I can show you a demonstration of our device. So this is our prototype device. This is not the commercial device, but it is where we today, and you get a handle on how this works. See our device. It's next to a computer, so you get an idea on how big it will be. The commercial device will be much smaller. That is a disposable electrode that's placed on the device. That is what touches the excision. Beneath that electrode, there are pogo pins, and that's how we scan across the entirety of the excision, and we can tell you if there is cancer in the margin, but not only if, we tell you where, so you know where to take more. The surgeon would place the excision on the electrodes. He or she locates that. Then he communicates with the laptop to tell her where to scan. So she's, on the graphical user interface is telling you which electrodes to scan. And now he scans. Everywhere that there's no cancer in the margin, it's white. If there is cancer in the margin, someplace it'll show up as red. And you see there's a couple of different locations. So simple and straightforward and very, very fast. That is our device, and that is our product concept for a commercial device. You see how big it is by comparison to the cell phone. There are more cases of non-melanoma skin cancer than there are all the other cancers in the world combined. In the United States, standard excisions are about 30% of the market, and Mohs are about a quarter of the market. We see ourselves replacing standard excisions and making big inroads into Mohs. If you extrapolate this market globally, it's about $1 billion for us, and it can be focused. It's a focused sale, and it can be serviced by a small sales force in the US. We would partner in countries like China and others. We have done the prototype device that you have seen. We're working on detailed design of our commercial device. We look for FDA clearance late next year. The final area in which we're active is in targeted drug therapy. Our electrodes are so small, you can put them on the tip of an injecting needle when you're using for non-surgically treated cancers. Think of a cancer that could be in the liver near the bile duct or something where you cannot surgically resect it. So often those are treated by dosing directly into the tumor, but there are under imaging, under CT, but there are challenges with that. Imaging is not perfect. Imaging is good, but not super. So the interventional radiologist doing this, may be adjacent to the tumor, but not directly into it when they're injecting. And that has impacts. It translates to poor efficacy. It translates to side effects. By taking our electrodes and putting them directly on the injecting needle, we can solve that problem. I'm happy to say that Dr. Charles Link, who is the founder of NewLink Genetics, has joined us and is leading this effort. Dr. Link is a noted medical oncologist, and NewLink Genetics, he founded it in his living room, and he took it public, and I think at the market cap at the height was about $3.4 billion. Dr. Link is also the developer of the Ebola vaccine that is sold by Merck. Our leadership team has accomplished, over the course of our careers, we've had multiple exits. We've raised several $100 million, and we've taken 6 products from concept to full regulatory clearance, all Class 2 and Class 3 FDA products. The board includes one of the founders of Hologic, myself, the chairman, the person that was in charge of IP for GE Healthcare, and Dr. Link. The scientific advisory board I'm very proud of. They are all luminary surgeons, presidents of each and every important society in their respective specialties. Our projections for US skin, and this is only US skin. This is nothing in China. This is nothing in the lung. This is nothing in breast biopsy, nothing in targeted drug delivery. So they're all additive to this. But you're looking for about $5 million to get the FDA clearance. We look to do that late next year. So in summary, we think we have a great technology with really, really good data. It stands by itself, and it's published in top journals. The products are, in all cases, very, very inexpensive, fast, and easy to use. Our electrodes that are disposable per procedure, they're cost in the single-digit US dollars. And the capital equipment in all cases is less than 5,000 US dollars, in many cases less than 1,000 US dollars. We have lots of different IP. The initial IP is on the use of the cold frequency, and in each and every application, we tend up filing more IP, and it's filed around the globe. We think depending upon how you're using this, we can benefit every constituent in the space, be it the physician, the patient, or the payer. We have struck deals with some of the largest companies in the world in several different areas. We're looking for more. I would love to strike a deal with a Chinese firm. And we're very, very capital efficient. We think there's the potential for multiple exits here. Thank you very, very much. I'm happy to take any questions.
Our experts to comment on this project is Li Xiaoqiang, founder and chairman of Your Health and Wellness International Medical Clinic.
Hi, Chris.
Hello.
Yeah, hi. Wonderful. To begin with, I think that this is a very interesting value proposition from your product. Assuming that the cold radio frequency scanning can tell, like your graph said, that can tell the difference, significantly can tell the difference between benign tissue and malignant tissue. This would be a wonderful product and a great potential. To begin with, I think that immediately to tell if this is malignant or not, it can be used to replace the frozen section in OR. That is widely used currently to quickly tell the difference between malignancy or benign for the surgeon to decide whether this is going to be extensive incision or this is going to be a conservative incision. That is part of that. On the other hand, I think the more wider use of it would be to use it to detect very quickly the superficial cancer, whether this is a skin cancer or the cancer on the surface of the GI tract or the bronchus. Depending on if your sensor can be mounted into the endoscope, whether this is a bronchial endoscope or this is a GI endoscope, that there is a widely potential for application. But this was a great idea. Well, assuming that you can actually engineer from engineering standpoint and also from true application standpoint, you can actually materialize the true sensitivity and specificity of the criteria that you proposed in your presentation. On the other hand, the clinical setting is much more complicated. For instance, I don't know that. Well, this is the first time I've heard from the cold frequency, radio frequency session difference. Without digging into much of the physical chemistry or physics of the radio frequency to tell the difference between cancer, benign tissue and the malignant tissue. In clinical settings, it varies a lot. For instance, if it's skin cancer, there is squamous cancer, there is melanoma, there are other different types of things, and also the size can be very different. The depth of the tumor can be very different depending if this is going to be above the basal membrane or below that, whether this is invasive or not. Without knowing the exact mechanism of the detection, it's very difficult to extrapolate to try to understand what is the potential clinical effect.
I'm happy to show you and sort of explain the method of action.
Sure. That would be very important because eventually all this clinical application really eventually boils down to the core, the mechanism technology, whether this is a really specific and sensitive or not. I mean, 90% sensitivity is wonderful. It's great enough, and then 80% of specificity is also very good. Obviously, for treatment, you wanted to have probably higher. To guide for treatment, you want a higher specificity. However, for screening purpose, the high sensitivity will be good enough. So there is a wide potential application point that you can develop, and also the engineering part of that will be whether you can minimize the volume of this sensor to make it into a various complicated, sophisticated medical instruments to detect the tumor in various parts of the body. But generally speaking, I think that the technology is very interesting and it gives a lot of imagination for both investors and potential users. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
Up next, Wu Haibo, Chairman of the Board at Giant Medipharm Services.
My question is from the clinical side. Is this product need to do clinical trials in the United States? And what's your clinical design? What's the clinical control group? Thank you.
Right. So, I mean, that depends upon the application. In all cases, we follow a 510K de novo process. So it is not a class 3 device, but it is class 2. And one of the things that we like about this, we're probably farthest advanced on the skin device. There is no long-term follow-up, you get this, because we do a comparison to pathology. We don't impact the tissue in any way, shape, or form. You can assess it electrically, then you can take that same tissue and it can assess it pathologically, and then you can do a comparison.
Thank you.
That's
understand.
Last but not least, Xin Xiaoxun, Vice Director at Research Center for Health Policy of Beijing Health Promotion Association.
Hello. I have a question about the product of Margaret Skin. What's your pricing strategy of it?
Right. So we have a disposable and a capital equipment. The capital equipment, we would see pricing at it basically at cost, which is several $1,000s. It's not an enormity. It's very inexpensive compared to most medical devices, but we would like to not to have that reflect on our balance sheet. The disposable should cost in the single-digit dollars to make, and we would see pricing those at about $100 to the dermatologist, and the dermatologist would mark them up for about $150. So everyone makes money there.
Okay. And how can you deal with the insurance company? Could the insurance cover this test?
We will have to get a CPT code for that. It can be used in procedures that are currently paid. Okay. So you can still use it, but we're not going to have a specific code for the use of our device. We have to get that.
Okay, wonderful. And could this technology used in other cancers?
We think it is applicable to every type of cancer. We have not proven that, but we have every place that we have used it, in skin, in multiple types of skin, in multiple types of breast, in multiple types of lung cancer, it has been almost perfect.
From Germany, GFE is a company producing medical equipments, including tumor imaging equipments and medical probes for more accurate diagnosis and assisting tumor removal surgeries. It is also a research firm for science and technology-related issues. I would like to invite Dr. He Hong, the Chief Representative of HOMODES Association of German Research Centers in China. He's also representing this company today.
Today, I'm going to introduce you a special medical device. It's actually a very unique and electronic collimated gamma ray probe, which could be used actually to allocate the tumor in the patients, so as to help the surgeons to do their job easier. And in fact, this instrument is developed by my friends who are running the so-called GFE company in Darmstadt. So the CEO of this company is Tobias Engert. He is actually also the present chairman for the HEPTECH, that is actually the high energy physics technology transfer networking, and covering actually all the European, major European countries. This network has its headquarters actually by CERN. So CERN is actually, again, the high energy physics center where they have found the so-called gold particle. And Tobias Engert himself is also the head for technology transfer of the German National Lab, which is called the GSI. That is named in German, but in English it would be sound like the Heavy Ion Accelerator Facility in Darmstadt. So the second person, or the CTO of this company, is Dr. Jürgen Jell, and he is actually the doctor father of Dr. Engert, and he's also the head of the Department for Gamma Ray Measurement on GSI, and well as the new facility called FAIR. So actually based on the facilities in GSI, people have discovered in the last 50 years, because it has only a history of 50 years, the international scientists have discovered over 40% of the so-called different nuclease, the different element of ionized elements in our so-called how can I say, the element table, right? And nowadays we have 107 elements, and the last 6 elements was all discovered in GSI, and also 40% of all the radioactive nucleus were also discovered on this facility. So it means straightforward. It's a really brilliant international facility and attracted a lot of people. And also both these guys, they are really working on the forefront of the scientific exploration. And this is the web page of GFE. And they are actually also providing all the service development for helping national and international teams to develop facilities and to develop some technologies. So, and they are providing, services. They are also, doing contracted research, and they are also trying to, how can I say, to develop the so-called prototype of electronics for people who can actually explore further the industrial application or the medical application. So this device I'm going to introduce today is actually combined to the PET facility. So you know that the PET is nowadays very popular in the world because it helps people to discover the tumors and also the neurological disorders. So it's not like the traditional CT, which is mainly discover the very different hard tissue, but PET is discovering actually the, how can I say, actually the oxygen consumption of your soft tissue, which is directly in relevance to the tumors. And of course, it can also be applied to find the mental disorder if they use this PET to scan the people's head. And nowadays, along in China, there are already over 450 sets of PETs taking care of patients. And we all know that actually the scanning of PET is nowadays in China, as well as in the world, very expensive. At least in China, it's more than 1,500 euro for each person for one scan. And one scan takes about 45 to 1 hour time. And then they can discover that if there are something that is unusual. And you can see that actually on this right-hand side, this is an example, right? And there are 2 spots that is very black because it indicates that your liver as well as your prostate that has actually attracted or has sucked a little bit more or doses of the injected radioactive imager. So this is another example. Your brain tissue is also, consuming a lot of energy and also protein and sugar, and therefore it's totally black. But here you can find that there's also a tumor here on your leg, on the leg of this person. So it's found here, identified precisely on patient lying down actually on this PET machine. But we all know that once you would like to really do the surgery work, and then the person will be placed apart from this scanning room using this PET, because the PET itself is radioactive, and for removing this radioactive contaminated concentrated tissue, and then normally you have to wait a couple of days and then find out again where this tumor it should be. But because people are normal in the exact same position as they were taking this PET image. So how can you be sure where is this tumor? So you only have this pattern, and then, but once you cut the skin of the patient, and you find only blood and the flesh, and you don't know where is really the tumor, because it could be not easily to be differentiated from the color, which one is which. So therefore, in the past, people are using this sort of simple so-called gamma probe to detect where is the radiation coming from. So it's just like a pinhole detector, because this is a very thin, small hole at the forefront of this thing, and then only the radiation from the forefront will be seen actually by this detector. So this is an improved version. So you have a how can I say, you have a thick wall for protecting the radiation from around. But still, even when we are applying this gamma probe for the PET image, which is high energy radiation, because normally, you know, the no energy image for under 300 keVs. So you can use the this sort of traditional probe. But if you are really using this probe actually for high energy image, which is necessarily the case for PET. PET is normally, you know, 300 keV above, or even 500 keVs, and then you have to have preparing a very bulky circuit wall, either of gold or of lead, to protect the radiation from above, from the other side, from the surrounding, because you are proposed to detect the tumor in front of this slit or this hole, but not be influenced by radiation coming from the surrounding. So that is the reason why my colleagues in GSI, they have developed a very smart electronically collimated instrument. Actually, this is the new concept, which is brand new. Also, they have already developed this system for 10 years. It consisted of 5 small crystals here. There are 4 blue crystals at this plate, and then there's also one at the forefront. Just by the algorithm's calculation, and then they can detect where the radiation is coming from. It's coming from the backwards, it's coming from the hair, somewhere in front, or comes straight forwards. So it's a pure mathematical calculation. But by means of this smart calculation they have developed based on the so-called Monte Carlo algorithms applied for the high energy physics, they can have the possibility to get rid of all the so-called traditional shielding materials. And it's the raw crystals can already, by detecting the positioning of the radiation based on their own configuration. So in this case, because they are using 5 crystals instead of one small one, and because they are not using any shielding material from surrounding, and therefore the crystals are bigger in size, and also it's precise for detection. So therefore it's also light in weight, and then they have this only possible device developed actually for PET. So it's also is indicated here is perfect because of the how can I say, because they have cut off the background radiation, and also they are also about 1 magnitude precision for detection the position of this radiation and tissue or the tumor in another means. So this is the big advantage from this new concept in comparison to traditional one. So for the traditional one, you have a resolution more than 15 millimeter, but for this new one, it's much smaller in size. It's less than 9 millimeter. And then you can also find where is the position of this one. It's not only the forefront of the tip, but also the depth of this position could also be discovered. So it's therefore very useful for the medical doctor to say, okay, I know I need to cut, half centimeter or 1 centimeter deeper in order to get rid of this tumor. So that's the comparison. Besides, this system itself, like you can see, it has already a very elegant shape. It has a touch screen. It's combined with voice as alarming voice to indicate if you are approaching the radiation resource. So that are different different degrees of the focus. So they can, adjust the button and to get this focus a little bit more sharp for the forefront. In that case, you can easily to scan even the whole body and then figure out where exactly can you find a soybean-like tumor within your body. And then they can allocate the position and then help the patient, help the surgeons to cut off this tumor, by means of this instrument. So this is the scenario where the people are really using this instrument. So they can check which of these, red tissues, and they really have this radioactivity. And then only if you cut all the radioactivity away, and then you are really clean from this tumor. There's nothing left behind. So that is really help the surgeons to avoid mistakenly do something wrong, or they have only cut 80% of the tumor, not the whole of them. So this is another check, so they can identify if they have really cut the right tissue here. So in a short conclusion, and this gamma probe is ideal fit for people who have experience with PET facilities, because they are adopted, they are already tried for more than 10 years with 10 sets of them actually in the German clinics. And it's a really ideal match for PET. As we mentioned, the other traditional ones are not fit for PET because of high energy radiation. And it has a much lower background noise, and it helps the surgeons to speed up their surgery, which is, for saving the time and also saving the cost for both the doctors, hospitals, and also the patients themselves. So this instrument has already been applied for at least, because people don't have one source of the data, but from they know the data from 3 years ago, there were already more than 200 applications tried to allocate the tumors in the head, in the neck, in the spine, and in the gland, and also in different other places. And they have also figured it out. It's a good validation instrument as well for the PET imager, because the PET image itself is also based on algorithmic calculation. So sometimes they have discovered the PET imager indicate a tumor in the leg bone, in the lower leg bone. But after they have applied this probe, because it's a straightforward detection, and then they cannot find this radiation noise. And then they rechecked it again and then find that the original dark image on the PET is a false signal, and that has helped the patient to not be harmed by unnecessary surgery. So as we can present here, this medical device is so far really the only proven instrument, especially adapted to people, to the hospitals with experience with PET, because on one side you have the high energy imaging, and the second part, your medical doctors, they have their own experience on applying this PET imaging and then get the compilation of this system done. So they can really compare the two types of signals together. And in ideal case, they don't need to take the PET scanning, but rather, using this medical device to allocate the tumor that needs for the leg and also for the women's breast cancer, for instance. So this is now the expectation actually from the investors or from our strategic partner, because the company GFE is only a very small company with only 4 people, and they are only working on contracted research. Also, they have the prototype done already for more than 10 years. They are still looking for fresh money to rebuild 2 to 3 of these prototypes to get them validated in China for the CFDA certification. So for the first step, we are awaiting about the 1 million RMB investment. And then the investor will get the fully authorization of this and also the license for commercializing this product here in China. And as the second investment, it will be about 700 to 800 million RMB. That is for the mass production plus also the CFDA validation here in China. And then we estimated that finally this equipment could be mass produced in China. And we are looking for, collaborators actually for, outsourcing and also for the manufacturing of these facilities here in China. And if we say we have already more than 450 PET hospitals here in China, and we can easily estimate that there are at least 2,000 to 3,000 sets of this special device would be ideal fit for at least the China market. So once it's done that far, and we can also expect that this instrument could be also go beyond Chinese border to be sold well actually in Europe and also in the other countries. So that's the reason why we believe we are looking for international investor or Chinese investor with international perspective, because you then get a really high-end product that is unique and is international leading, and is also a very, how can I say, niche product that is not to be beatable by the other similar products of another company. So actually there are also further development possibilities. So they can also be combined with the other concept, or even to get it integrated to the stereoscope, yes, and for the surgery within the people's body, because it's more precise, right? It can indicate the tumor much more precisely than any instrument further. So, but as I mentioned, this is actually a good team and a reliable team with a lot of experience for outsourcing research, for contracted research, and we can talk on details if we really find common interest. So that is another example. So they can combine it with ultrasonic, and yeah, that is the all from my side.
Assessing these projects will be Li Xiaoqiang, founder and chairman of Your Health and Wellness International Medical Clinic.
Mr. He, thank you very much for your excellent presentation, your time to share with us this very unique device. So, and then your product is also in danger of being competed by some other new molecular biology type of products who are less risky and probably also very easy to use kind of a new innovation to compete with your product in the medium long run. So you may want to consider that too. So great product. I think it's a reflection of a German manufacturing. It's very engineering-wise, it's really good. But sometimes you wanted to really have to incorporate your product into a clinical scenario, because many products eventually fail, not because it's a good product, but because it's not in a clinical setting. Clinical pathway doesn't, really embrace that kind of innovation in certain ways. So a lot of good products eventually get put into the shelf instead of being used. That's all. I hope that's helpful to you.
Also, Wu Haibo, chairman of the board at Giant Medipharm Services.
My question is from the regulatory side. First thing is this product already on the market of German market, or how many countries have approved this product?
My colleagues have delivered 10 sets of this equipment for about 10 years. So that is they are only the 10 of them. And maybe 5 or 6 are still using. So that is the case. So they are all located in Germany, not in another second country. They have been CE validated, but not more.
So for detail, if you get the manufacturer approval or something related to this, you need at least you have 1 year. And then you have your product in China, you go to the type test center. And this may take half or 1 year. And then 1 year or 2 may in clinical trial. And then another 1 year in the evaluation time. So you need to you make preparation of enough time to get your product approved. Yeah, that's my suggestion. Thank you.
Last but not least, Xin Xiaoxiong, Vice Director at Research Center for Health Policy at Beijing Health Promotion Association.
Hello, Mr. He. And very nice to meet you again. So I have a question because your product have launched in German and other countries in Europe for years. So what's your patent map? The IP portfolio now?
Yes, as I have mentioned that our colleagues have had the patent in Europe, in USA, a few years ago, but then they have given it up because they are still convinced that nobody else could duplicate the idea from manufacturing this facility. And therefore, they would rely on their own Chinese partners. What will be the best if they shall jointly apply for a new patent here in China just for commercialize this product. So as I mentioned, that they get it registered over 10 years ago, and then they protect it 2 or 3 years, and then they find out that it's not worth it to protect it because it's very tricky. Nobody can, repeat it just with this idea, because the algorithm itself, as I mentioned, is from this forefront international leading team. Nobody else can, take it over and say, oh, we know we can, debug the whole concept and do it free here in China. No, you cannot be successful. That's the reason we are really talking very frankly about this concept. Is 5 crystals in combination, and then, but the mathematical calculation is very unique.
AG Plus Diagnostics, it is a company that has developed a diagnostic platform technology that delivers quantitative point of care. It provides personalized healthcare using patients' individual biomarker profiles, among other data. The platform can be used across multiple applications and sectors where faster diagnostic results will enable users to make critical decisions in minutes. AG Plus will have its representative to present their company.
I just wanted to give you a brief update of where the business activities since the last time I was here. We've onboarded a new customer, the UK MOD, who we're developing an infectious disease assay for. We're in the current discussion with another partner around a progesterone assay, and we're discussing heads of terms at the moment. Our existing customers are remaining on board with their current contract development, and we're currently raising 1.6 million. To date, we've raised 900,000 from existing investors and some new investors through this platform and others. And we've engaged a reader manufacturer in the UK called Surface Technology Innovations, who are on track and set to deliver us our first set of prototypes for clinical verification in July 2020. So like many businesses, COVID-19 is impacting AG Plus, and we're doing our best to mitigate that impact. But as they say, every cloud has a silver lining, and there's a real opportunity here for AG Plus. We're currently developing two assays, one for the detection of antigen and one for the detection of antibody to determine if you've been infected or not. And we're utilising our innovative solution from the National Physical Laboratory in the first instance, then transitioning onto the point of care at the end of the year. We've applied for 5 grants, and we're working with various partners such as Imperial, King's Health Partners around a clinical plan. We're also receiving plasma samples from our Swedish partner from COVID-19 positive patients to test for IgG and also for bacterial infection, because it's been recognised that bacterial pneumonia is a secondary infection in these patients. Another positive is the government has now recognised the need for diagnostics moving forward after this outbreak. So let's talk about the clinical diagnostic market space. It's large and it's growing annually, and there are 2 main categories in this area: lab tests and point of care or near patient tests. Lab tests are generally expensive and time consuming. They require clinical laboratories with trained staff and sophisticated equipment. And while there's a wide array of near patient tests out there, not all of these are fully quantitative. They have limitations in terms of the sample matrices they can test, and they're generally focused in one area, i.e. diabetes or cardiology. So I want to talk to you now about a global problem. So the O'Neill report in 2016 suggested that 50% of antibiotics are being misprescribed, and the WHO believe that come 2050, there'll be about 10 billion people that have died from a disease that's resistant to antibiotics. And they predict an economic crisis. In Europe alone, the cost of the healthcare system is around £1.5 billion annually, and over 25,000 people die annually from antimicrobial resistant diseases. So why is this happening? There's been no new antibiotics that have been developed since 1980 because of the cost of that. Doctors are under pressure from us as patients to prescribe antibiotics when we're ill, and really in hospital they don't want to take the risk. So if anyone shows any infection, they will be given an antibiotic, whether it's viral or bacterial. But they don't have any good tools to hand currently to be able to determine what they need to do in terms of treatment. So what's the solution? A near patient test that's fully quantitative and can detect from a finger stick accurately. So we believe our Agilis platform covers this off. It fulfills an unmet need. We have a proven biomarker that detects bacterial infection, and your body releases this biomarker only in the presence of bacteria. So it's very accurate compared to existing solutions on the marketplace. It can also be done in your physician's surgery, in your 15-minute slot, because it's a quick finger stick, and that allows the doctor immediately to prescribe or not prescribe antibiotics as required. So the market, as I've already mentioned, is big. The global IVD market is $98 billion. The near patient testing part of that's $36 billion, but we're specifically working in 2 areas at the moment. the gastrointestinal area with a US partner, and the AMR test with a Chinese partner. And both of these products are currently on track to go into their respective FDAs at the end of 2020. So I want to talk now about the business model. So it's a business-to-business model. We currently have 2 customers on board, and a third we just onboarded this year, and a 4th about to onboard. The 2 customers in the last 2 years, we've completed about £1 million worth of contract development work, and these will transition into contract manufacturing work. And our partner in the US has indicated that in the next 4 to 5 years, they'll be looking at over 250,000 tests per annum. So you can quite quickly see that if you multiply that up and say have 10 to 15 routine manufacturing contracts, you quite quickly get to the revenue that's required. The margin on these products varies, so the contract development margin, although is high, it's only for a limited period of time, but it's generally around 60% margin. The manufactured products vary from 45 to 55% margin, but the licensing and royalty fees drop to the bottom line. There's very little around license upkeep, and the royalty fees are based on a final sale price, a percentage of a final sales price. So as we transition through from 2020 through to 2024, you can see that we do less contract R&D, more contract manufacturing and licensing and royalty. So we start to build our revenues very quickly and our EBITDA at the same time. So I'm not in this alone. We have a small team. There are about 10 of us in the team, but between us all, we have over 60 years worth of expertise in the diagnostics area. Per and Tito are on our scientific advisory board, and Tito has been involved with Johnson & Johnson and EKF, and Per is a clinical doctor who studied at Uppsala University and now is a professor at Uppsala University. And myself, I have over 15 years in the diagnostics industry, from R&D right through to commercialization, working with small businesses and blue chip companies. Christopher and Rash are the finance brains in the business, and Christopher led the 2015 bid for a buyout of AG Plus from the National Physical Laboratory. He's the chairman of the business, and he's the main contact in terms of all the investment stuff that we've been doing. Dave is my operations director. He has 40 years plus in operations in medical devices and diagnostics. He's had experience of scale up, working under medical directives, etc. as well. So what's the ask? As I said, we've already raised 900,000 in equity in this round, and we're targeting 1.6. The majority of these funds have been raised from EIS investors against a pre-money valuation of £4.7 million. This valuation was done with investors and looked at 10 similar diagnostic companies of a similar size to us, and how they were valued. The money is going to be used to ensure the production of commercial cartridges and readers in 2020, so that we can then move forward with the clinical validation and commercialization. We have a big pipeline at the moment of about 50 people in our pipeline, or 50 opportunities. So we recognise that we need a business development team at the end of the year to help convert these opportunities into the contract development and then moving into the contract manufacture. We're looking for a 4-year exit in 2024, and that could be in a number of ways. It could be a big diagnostic company that we're working with may want to buy the platform. It could be that we hive off sections of the business. So, example, the clinical side. I said that we're working with the MOD, so there may be a military side. We're also doing some work in progesterone, so there's a veterinary side as well, because this platform will go across multiple markets. So we're looking forward to engaging with investors to complete the financing. Thank you all, and I'll take any questions now.
I think just to say two things really. Firstly, we the team that I put together originally bought this technology from the UK's National Physical Laboratory in 2015, and then effectively we have then developed that technology to get straight onto the market, and we will be in the regulation stage of the market by the end of this year. We've also repurposed the business model so that we have a business-to-business platform, so that we work with existing diagnostic companies to transfer some of their existing assays onto our platform where it gives them competitive advantage. It also then enables those companies to launch many new products onto the market, utilizing the really key advantages of the AG+ platform, which include particularly its ability to use any human sample in it equally well, so it's not dependent on light, for instance, getting through the sample. The very high level of sensitivity of the platform, and also the speed. It gives a result. The measurement mechanism gives a result in about 3 minutes, and together with the sample preparation, it's well under 15 minutes, which is within one doctor's appointment. So we believe those advantages are really key as the world moves forward into a new, the next generation of point-of-care diagnostics. So we believe we've got a really powerful platform. We've now fully developed it, ready for the market. We've got the first business-to-business customers in place, and our ambition, consistent with the numbers that Fiona talked about on her presentation, will require 10 customers with an average of two products on the platform by 2024, and we're confident that that is easily achievable. So we've got a lot of work to do still, and we would love to work with some of you to realize that ambition. One part of which is very firmly based in China. We have a joint venture in China with the assay that will differentiate bacterial and viral infections in China, and work has already begun on that. The lab version is in the market already in China through the FDA, and our point of care version will go to the FDA early next year. So thank you very much indeed for listening, and any questions you've got, I'd be delighted to respond to.
Wu Haibo, Chairman of the Board at the Giant Medipharm Services, I'd like to invite you to give your thoughts.
I myself is not very professional in this area, but I have two questions in the regulatory procedures. So this product is a platform, not a special test agent for special virus or bacteria. Is that right?
So the product that goes into the regulator will be the platform with the individual test, and so the first individual tests will be with our partner in China, who will take to the CFDA early next year. The version, they've got a test with the FDA already in the market on an ELISA format. This will be a point of care format for the same test, and in the same way, our American customer has got a calprotectin test on the market through an ELISA platform, and this will be exactly the same. This will be a point of care version of their same test. It's important that gives product against which this test will be compared. So we are reasonably hopeful that the time going through the regulator will be relatively short for that purpose, because it'll be the same company, same test, just on a different format.
So another thing is, did you have already do some clinical trials, use blood sample of human mankind?
Yes, absolutely. You know, we've done a lot of trials. We've done proof of principle studies with about 15 different companies for 15 different assays with very good consistent success rate. And in the background, we've been working to get the platform ready and in industrial production ready to go. And clearly, that industrialization is expensive and has taken time. But we're now confident that both the core chemistry of the electrochemistry involved in the measurement mechanism is now ready for the market. We've demonstrated that on many occasions. We've now got to also make sure that the cartridge and the reader, which we're onto the second generation now, which we believe is highly reliable and competent for the market.
Finally, Xin Xiaoxiong, Vice Director at Research Center for Health Policy of Beijing Health Promotion Association. Please give your thoughts on this project.
Hello, hi.
Hi.
I have a little question for your machine. How many samples can it test for one time?
So it tests one sample at one time. It's very much
one sample one time.
Yeah, but you can. It's possible to do more than one test in one cartridge at one time. So you can do 2 tests in one cartridge at one time at the moment. And we believe that with further work, we can increase that certainly to 3 and maybe to 4.
Okay, I see. And compare with the other platform, maybe nano or microfluidics. What's your advantage? Maybe the sensitivity or specificity?
So we have advantages. We have an advantage in sensitivity. We have an advantage in full quantitation, and we have an advantage in being able to use any human sample for different tests. So we've done tests in urine, in whole blood, in plasma, in saliva, in feces.
Okay, and the last question: what's your plan in China? Because the POCT machine may be used in the rural hospital in China.
So the plan in China, we have a joint venture in China. We felt it was better to adopt. It's such an important market, and it's such such an open market to new technology in diagnostics, that we've formed, really thanks to a relationship that we developed early on in Sweden. There's a company there who's had a long association for 15-20 years now with a Chinese company that's based both in Changchun and also in Suzhou, and so we have a joint venture with them to roll out as many products as possible. But initially, we will roll out the H&L test, which differentiates the bacterial infections. Further on after that, there's one that will investigate cancer, various cancer formats, and also one for other forms of infection, including sepsis.
Thank you very much for your thoughts. We've indeed heard lots of wonderful products and services. These are truly innovative companies. I shall invite our viewers to pay attention to the fact that Innovation China Virtual Roadshow is part of the 4th World Intelligence Congress. Big deal. Also, this event is hosted by China Association for Science and Technology. As we've heard from all these companies, their products and services have indeed helped people from around the world, especially as many individuals and families are coping with the fallout with the COVID-19, the worst pandemic in 100 years. We hope these companies will continue to invest in R&D, innovation, and to come up with new products and services that will benefit more people, and perhaps more importantly, come to China to invest. China made it very clear that it welcomes foreign investment. And I think that will do it for this edition of Innovation China Virtual Roadshow. Until next time, I'm Wang Guo in Beijing. Thank you so much for your participation.